And jumping right on into the draft, as you haven't seen this yet, this is the first time we've jumped into this draft of Game 1, HGT versus TongFu. And again, the storyline here, HGT finds themselves just barely in contention. They do have the same record as TongFu, a win, an upset, I would even say, by this TongFu squad, which has underperformed up to this point, would be a huge coup and really could make some room for some shakeup near the bottom of our playoff race. We see HGT's led off with the Skywrath Mage and the Brew, Tide, Ember, and Venge for TongFu. And man, it's the same heroes every time. Every time.
More of the same, that's right. Vengeful Spirit picked up relatively early, as it does get banned out somewhat frequently in the Eastern scene. Slar coming out kind of early too. This is usually picked up in 4th or 5th position from any of the Eastern teams, but they pick it up early. I'm wondering why. It's not exactly that great against Ember Spirit. It's good to purge off stuns like Tidehunter's Ravage. I suppose Ember Spirit, Vengeful Spirit. So in the sense, purging off those abilities is good, but also in the sense of keeping someone down, it's not that great against the Ember Spirit. So interesting draft right there, but other than that, nothing too out of the ordinary from either team.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the Slark. Like, I mean, he's a strong hero, and we have talked extensively, especially in Eastern play, where we've seen him picked or banned in many, many more matches than we've seen in the West so far. Just what he can do in the late game, you know, how good he is at all phases of the game. He actually catches up remarkably well. Because if he starts out, say you want to tri-lane him, he doesn't get a ton of farm, then you just say, okay, we're going to shift our plan. We're not going to just farm him. Let's start to smoke a lot. Let's roam. Let's get ganks. Let's get kills. Let's get him caught up that way. Then you can fall back and let him farm if that needs to be done. But yeah, like you said, against the Tide, the Ember, and the Venge, you know, it's kind of a known quantity though. Like, you know, Slark is excellent in terms of being able to use Dark Pact to get himself out of trouble, but that's true against absolutely any lineup with absolutely any disable, any slow, anything. So I don't know that that stands out that much here, but I guess sometimes you just like a hero. There's a hero, by the way, we've seen have a lot of popularity. The Jakiro for TongFu in 4th position, and the Doom as an immediate answer.
Yeah, well, Doom, I think, is going to be a good answer to specifically the Tidehunter and the Ember Spirit, so I really like that pickup. Obviously, we've talked about heroes that can kind of shut down a Tidehunter. It's very hard to shut him down with just like stun locking it, because he just krakens out of it. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. One is the Doom. One we've seen a lot is the Clockwork, and then there's also like Legion Commander, but I haven't seen that picked up too much, to be honest, in the Eastern scene. So Doom is the most appropriate pick, and with Doom, it looks like, well, they have Doom, Brew, and Slark. So off-lane Doom, mid-Brew, safe lane as a one-position Slark is probably what we're going to see here, although there could be something different.
That does make sense. And outside of doing something completely wonky like jungling the Doom, I mean, they would have to really make their lanes pretty weak. We have seen a lot of teams do a lot more dual lanes, though, and that's always an option. Doom, you know, is not bad in lane if he has proper support, being able to use Scorched Earth, and he can always devour, and so on and so on and so on. But for TongFu, I'm much more interested in their lineup. I love the way it looks so far. Venge and Jakiro, if you want to put in like if you want to run the core Jakiro, then go aggressive against this. And we've seen how this has worked out a number of times. Brewmaster, it's not so much about him if you want to go aggressive into him. If he is side lane farmed, which isn't going to be the case here. Even the Slark, these are heroes you can take advantage of early on if you have enough punching power. And if the Ember Spirit wants to go mid, the Tidehunter in the solo safe lane guarantees them at least a decent start, especially if TongFu's anticipating the off-lane Doom. And yeah, there's going to be a Wind Ranger. And again, I think that might be a possibility that they end up going aggressive here, because if they anticipate the off-lane Doom, Tide wins that matchup against Doom very easily. Ember against the Brew, Ember should do just fine, and that would guarantee those two cores especially a very nice start.
Yeah, okay. There's also a chance, as the Crystal Maidens picked up last year for HGT. I really like that pick, actually. It has good damage, and we've seen Crystal Maiden work well with Skywrath. Same problem as far as keeping the Ember Spirit down, but they have the Doom for that. They have the Skywrath Mage's silence for that too. I also wouldn't be too surprised if they did like Wind Ranger mid and farming up the Ember Spirit in the safe lane, and then Tidehunter off. Just because I know that the Eastern scene and the Chinese teams really prioritize more farming the Ember Spirit as a one position than most. But it certainly could work where you go Ember Spirit mid. He's actually pretty good against Brewmaster in the sense that he's a melee hero that doesn't get shut down by Brewmaster. Usually Brewmaster just crushes melee heroes. But there's also a chance. Actually, no, that's U9 playing, so I think he's their offlaner. So I think you're right. Yeah. It's going to be either him solo short and aggro tri-lane, or they just go the standard, like Windrunner mid, Tide top, and then tri-lane the Ember Spirit.
Prepare for battle.
It's going to be U9
Okay.
heading out to the safe lane to start. And I think this makes a ton of sense. We saw in particular, IG last night had a ton of success with lanes like this. You know, calling them 3 support tri-lanes is a little simplistic, but it's a general idea. Heroes that you don't have to worry about getting a lot of early CS with. Just push towers. Just control the lane. Just make sure you keep pressure on whatever lane you want to hit and try to zone out their carry, because you have 3 heroes in the Venge, the Jakiro, and the Windrunner here who can do just fine even if they have to play catch-up and get most of their early gold from kills and towers. And especially love the Venge and the Wind Ranger being able to lead with the magic missile, then try to hit a shackle off of that. Very, very easy. And Jakiro is just going to be able to pour the damage out with just a couple of early points into the liquid fire. They are going to go ahead and invade. They did drop down 1 ward here overlooking the ward spot. They get a sentry down to block the pull. This is such an annoying spot for a sentry. I use this a lot in pubs, actually, and you'd be shocked at how many people can never find it.
Yeah, they did just ping out U9's ward, and I'm wondering if they're going to change things up. Yeah, I think they are. Chinese teams do this more than any other team, where they're not just like, all right, let's man up and face the try in the safe lane, and since it's safe, we're going to counter ward and just do pulls and win with longevity. But they're like, oh, they dodge a lot. I think a lot more in Chinese. Like, oh, there's a solo short. Let's change it up so that we have our farmer going up against him. So it's actually going to be ZSMJ farming bottom. Might even be some dual lanes to start off with, some roaming from Pretty Haw. And look at the response already. I had massive deja vu just there for a second, because I feel like we've seen this a lot out of the Eastern teams.
Well, I think this is a change HGT has to make. Otherwise, they're going, like you said, the Brew is not going to shut down the Ember, so it's not necessarily a lost lane, but it's a wash for a hero that is fine with getting a wash, so long as he's in decent shape compared to everyone else on the map. A Doom versus a Tide is just a flat-out 1 lane for the Tide. Like, he's just going to win that lane. He's going to have very quick blinks, a very quick blink, whatever. Hang on. We're going to have a rotation to mid immediately. They want to go right on our Ember Spirit. And is he dead? He is our first blood. So HGT wasting no time, and like you said, not just dodging, but rotating well and bringing down the Ember just short of 1 minute in. Well played.
Yep, well played indeed. That was a very, very delayed Crystal Nova, by the way, on CM. I was wondering when she was going to cast it. Kind of sloppy, but they did get a kill, which is the most important thing. And they shut down more of the Ember Spirit's farm. So he's not going to have a bottle for quite some time. And bottom lane, it's going to be now like a Tide versus Slark, which is actually kind of good for him too, for the same reason. It's a Tide versus a melee hero. So Slark is going to need some help down here, and I don't know. I don't know how much he's going to get actually. Blue's down here. Kabu, he's actually pulling through. He's going to get a couple of levels. He'll get level 2 after this, and we'll be able to help out the Tide Hunter a little bit in this lane. And I think this is actually fine for TongFu, so long that Ember gets up to his bottle here relatively soon.
Oh, I agree with you completely. Rand's having a hard time. Just 1 point liquid fire is just melting him. And of course he can use Scorched Earth to regen on top of the 1 tango he has left. But the fact that he's already burned through 3 tangos and only has 1 left tells you just how tough of a lane this is. And it's going to end up pushing back out. Level-wise, he is getting a decent amount. He's at level, just about level 3. It's about 2.5 for the Wind Ranger and the Jakiro. But this bottom lane, like you said, I think this is a problematic lane for HGT more than anything. They need to do something to pressure it. They got the good kill on the Ember Spirit, which is nice, but this is just not going to go well for Slark if it's played properly by TongFu.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be able to trade CS and like kind of be even, but this is your 1 position Slark in a sense. Like I think they need to prioritize a little bit more farm on him just because of who they have on their team. Aaron mid is actually losing in CS a little bit to Ember Spirit despite the gank. I do worry in general with with the farming like Wind Ranger that's not in mid, just because I always feel like she doesn't get enough done. I like her most in the mid position, so we'll have to see her. She kind of has to snowball in a sense to really warrant the pick, in my opinion. I really like the Blink Dagger build on Wind Ranger. I hope to see that, but we'll have to see how this unfolds.
Well, it's something they could do as well with the Wind Ranger. She's a very solid mech carrier, and they are playing her as a... You know, when they drafted, they anticipated they were going to be going hard, so I don't think they're treating her as like, oh, this is a 1. This is someone that we have to prioritize all the farm in the world on, because I don't know that they expected that they would get that much if they were going try on try. And she might make a decent mech carrier for TongFu. That would take the pressure off the Jakiro, allow him to get a Yules up faster, would let the Tide actually get a blink instead of a mech first, which has seemed to be the standard in a lot of our Eastern matches. And if they end up getting a Yules and mech...
Courier, that needs to be upgraded, but it's not upgraded in time.
Oh, Kaka coming around for a gank. Might get a 2-fer here. And doesn't have the mana to follow it up. I actually already used his cooldowns anyway, but very nice. They don't get the hero, but they get the little red panda that was helping him out.
That should really be upgraded. It was way past 3 minutes, so kind of a blunder there, but a nice play by the Crystal Maiden, Kaka. He actually smoked for that, but I think it's well worth it.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Tower taking some damage. Liquid Fire is at 2 points now. He did go 1-1-1, and then the Liquid Fire in the second point. Rand's coming up here, as is Kaka. It's going to be a TPN. They want to turn this. Here comes the Skywrath Mage. Concussive Shot on the LPC. Gets off a dual breath on the Kaka. And looks like Jinq is continuing to hang. The Stomp actually missed. It got LPC, but it missed the Wind Ranger. They're going to get him for sure. Kaka's pretty low. She might fire off a Hail Mary power shot. And Kaka's very low. Ooh! Came very close. He was trying to spot it out using the creeps and took his shot but missed. 2-0 though, and this is how HGT has to handle this because, again, the lane's not all that favorable otherwise, but they're doing a good job of getting something out of this phase.
At the beginning of that exchange, she actually missed her power shot, which was like in melee range on the Crystal Maiden. So had she connected that one, it wouldn't have even mattered. So kind of unfortunate there. Ice Path is going to hit. He does have mana very soon, but he's just going to choose to use it for the Shackle, which I think is probably the better decision. So there's no chance of her actually messing up that kill. So nicely played there. And that's a pretty big deal. Windrunner's up to 26 CS now, whereas Doom's at 8.
Yep. And that Doom's, I would say at least half, if not more, I mean, we can do the math. 60-second cooldown on Devour right now. I guarantee you half or more of that is him devouring creeps, not even actually getting CS off of them. So that's how tough of a lane it's been. What I was saying before the action broke out, though, is if they decide to spread their items out like that, just prioritize a Yules on the Jakiro, a Mech on the Wind Ranger, and then a Blink on the Tide, they're going to be able to fight off one item. We're going to see an engagement as ZSMJ tries to come in. Ice passes shot and misses. Beautiful two-man Nova from Kaka. And we're going to see the Wind Ranger end up down. Pretty Haw's going to end up melting down. It's a 2-for-1 right now. And Hien wants to try to get something somewhere. Magic Missile will catch ZSMJ. He's not level 6, just short of it, and ends up dead because of it. That ends up being a 2-for-2, and I think that favors TongFu immensely, given that they gave up their 2 offlaners, but the Ember Spirit there to help kill off 2 core. Well, once Skywrath Mage and then a core. Now they're going to come back in. Air's made his way up. He has split, but a beautiful reaction as he hits the Searing Chains to stop Air in his tracks. So they'll be able to make it away, and that's going to be the end of that action. At bottom, Ran is actually rotated in the lane. And, you know, even though he's having such a hard time, this is largely the power of Devour. Oh, yeah, I'm here. Ice Path catches him, and he will be able to make it away. But, you know, he's already got Tranks, and he's got up a Glove of Haste on his way to a Midas, and that's basically off of 12 CS, most of which have been Devours. And again, that's just the power of that ability.
Yeah, sorry, Air looked like Ran to me for some reason, so I was confused. But good pressure here from TongFu. They have Ravage up and ready to go if they want it. They need to transition more heroes down here to really secure this. That's what I've seen good teams do. And that's what they're doing, actually. They're putting 4 down here. They really want to make sure they secure this tower, but mostly they secure the winning fight. Like, make sure that you have enough resources to actually take this if there is a response from the enemy team. So they got 4 down here. Might even need 5 if there's a TP on the Slark, which there is, so we'll see.
Ravage is here. And he got the Doom off. That actually hurts them so much. Ember's back here. They're going to get rammed, but they need to bail right now. Without Ravage, they're just sitting ducks. It's going to be a beautiful Shackle on the Air, buying some time. And U9 may end up dead there. Behind that, though, we see the split does finally go off. Are they going to get Pretty Haw? Nope, not going to get him. Came close. There's a Gush. U9 still has his Ravage and might have to use it. He's trying to kite out this ulti. There's a Nova that actually misses the Tide. He's now the primary target as he's making his way down to the river. And yes, the Brewmaster ulti will end. Are they going to pursue? Looks like they're thinking about it. Thought better of it. And that actually could have been much worse for TongFu than it was, given that the Tide got doomed.
That could. I can't believe that went so well for TongFu. I think they should have got wiped, or at least lost so many heroes. But the Panda split he couldn't find his marks. He was just trying to look for people, couldn't get it, couldn't really make use of the Spirit Panda, and Tide just walked away. He got doomed and just walked away. He actually even came back to help. I think the THD on his team and gushed. But and he also saved his Ravage, so he's gonna have this for the next fight. Big fight for TongFu.
Looks like everyone's set to reset. Air is very close to his Blink Dagger. Only needs about another 600 gold. And continuing to keep an eye on how Jinq is going to end up building here. He's got his phase and his Bassi. And just taking what he can get out of mid, shoving the lane a little bit. Does have help coming in the form of 2 smoked heroes. And they know his split's down. This is a perfect opportunity. They're going to have to go now. Got him with the magic missile. Ravage is there. Solo Ravage. Nope, not going to have to use it. As there's no reaction. They just end up losing their brew and not reacting at all. Thought for sure we were going to see a couple of circles pop up, but not the case. 5-4. Excellent gang from TongFu.
Yep, nice positioning of it's hard now because now that they switched their name, I was in the mode of like knowing what to call them, but I'm pretty sure since that's XIN, that's Sin, right? Like Shin.
Yeah.
God.
Sin King.
I mean, we've both screwed this up so many times with the names. I'm just gonna call them Shin Q. Anyway, Tower Deny, is not successful from the Crystal Maiden. Probably would be amazing if he could get that. As Crystal Maiden's got one of the worst attack animations in the entire game. But yeah, the Ember Spirit. I'm just gonna call them by their freaking hero names now.
We've been doing that for the whole season. like seriously, it's like I don't even try. It's like I'd rather just call him by the hero to make it clear to the viewer than get it wrong and have people mad at me about it. But Kin, that's what he's now known as, and Sin King is how I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be pronounced. Shin King? Yeah, I think that's right. Either way, power of Jakiro showing itself. 3 points in a liquid fire, and this tower is going to be melting relatively for free. We have yet to see U9 expend a Ravage, too, and that's kind of a big deal. They've gotten a lot of work done without having to use that one big ult. Brewmaster has his ult available now, and I actually feel like it's on HGT to now get something done across the map. The Slark's not in horrendous position. He's at 37 CS, and compared to the rest of the board, could be much worse, but they got to decide if he's going to be farming for a while, if he's going to be fighting for a while. I think TongFu wants to fight.
Thing is, TongFu has some really good spells against Slark. Like you want. Oh my God, ZSMJ took so much damage right there from just right clicks. He's using the ulti, but he's not gonna be able to do anything with it except just run away. Wow, that was so much damage. But that's from the Windrunner too. Like their other heroes are so good against Slark because it does damage in AOE through the Shadow Walk or whatever, Shadow Dance. Like you can throw down the Jakiro Ice Path, Macropire. You can throw down the Tidehunter Ravage and still actually kill him through that, which means he has to play a lot more safely, and he's not going to do much damage right now. So I think they're drafted nicely against Slark, and I think that they've put a lot of pressure onto the other heroes.
Midas is going to be done from Doom, so he's going to be playing catch up. 11-minute Midas, given how bad his laning phase went, is actually not that bad. And outside of that one game we saw last night, generally once you see a Doom who is, he's semi-maxing Devour, he's up to 3 points in it now. A Doom that maxes Devour and then gets a Midas at least at a decent clip, 12, 13, 14 minutes, usually he explodes in net worth. We had a game last time that just didn't happen, but Ran is pretty solid, and I don't think he's going to make those mistakes. They're smoked and moving, and it looks like, Shin Q knows that something was up, so he's going to extricate himself, and this is a waste of time.
Yeah, nice heads-up play there. I wonder what tipped him off. Like, was it the way that ZSMJ was moving? Sometimes little things like that in lane, like, if, like, you're CSing and they're supposed to be scared in lane, but then they, like, kind of move up. Like, little tiny, minute things like that can sometimes set you off, or set off the fact that a gank is coming, but maybe he just, I don't know, maybe he just wanted to go back to heal, I don't know. He was full HP, though, but anyway, here comes the push, and it is going to be the mech first from U9, which I think is a little strange, just given the fact that if he initiates with a Ravage onto the Panda with a blink, I think they just kill him instantly. So this is one of the times I actually would rather to see the blink on him than the mech first.
I completely agree. That's what I was saying with the Wind Ranger, and she's got a kind of a all over the place build. Got a bracer. Yeah, she's going for a 4-staff now. And let's see. Thought they were going to go there. Yeah, U9's looking to get. Oh, he's going to get 4. Beautiful Ravage. They look to follow it up. Here comes the Ember and lays down the hammer. As there's 2 tallied in a hurry. That Brewmaster never had a chance. Just. And now we know why they don't build Blink. They'll need it. Just walk up to them. It's fine. They just go stand there. Like, they just standed and grouped as 4 right here and took a Ravage in the mouth and then got run over.
The funny thing is he technically didn't even need the mech either because he couldn't cast it because he was doomed. But, yeah, he literally just walked up and Ravaged 4. I don't know. The Doom actually came off, but it was like as the Ravage was coming out, so he still got stunned. And so did everyone else. But I guess you get some decent stats and very good armor from mech too, which helps. And the passive HP regen, which is 4 per second, which is not bad. But yeah, massive fight. Ember Spirit doing so much damage with his triple remnant. and his level 4 Flame Guard too. And that's going to be 4 staff completed for the Wind Ranger. Tons of extra gold. Oh, Wind Ranger sidestepping that pounce, putting more damage into ZSMJ.
And this has happened twice, like in the last 2 minutes. You know, as we were talking, I just flash up there, and seriously, it's been that. He comes forward, tries to do damage, uses the Dark Pact. There's half his health gone. Then he gets hit in the face by a bunch of stuff from Wind Ranger. Then he has to run away and shadow dance to get back to safety. And but he's fine. He can afford to do that. He's Slark. You can see how quickly he regens because of his passive. And we're going to see HGT begin to move. They need to get something working because TongFu right now is in a great position. And their Ember is quite farmed, I do believe. Yeah, I was going to say his CS isn't that impressive, but because of the way the towers and the fights have gone so far, he's actually on top of net worth along with 3 other of his teammates that aren't just a little bit. You know, at this stage of the game, sometimes you'll look and it'll look a little bit worse than it is because it's only like 100, 200 gold separating the heroes in the middle of the pack from the top. This is actually significant. Like, the Doom is 1,200 gold behind, though he has a chance to catch up with his build. But yeah, like, you're talking 400 or 500 gold separating the top 3 from the next 2.
Well, I'll tell you what's significant. A 14-minute Yules on a support Jakiro. This is not a core Jakiro. This is a support Jakiro. I've seen the stats with core Jakiros if they get Yules like under 13 minutes. It's like ridiculous 85% win rate or something like that. But I'd like to see what the stat is on 14-minute support Yules onto Jakiro, because that's insane.
Paging the Has. I know you're watching, man. Let us know. They have, like, I really like the way they look against this Brewmaster. If they catch the Brew with the Yules, he's just dead, because they're going to focus everything, and if all else fails, they'll solo Ravage. Because without the Brewmaster, they are going to have a hard time fighting. Like, he accounts for pretty much all the control they have in these fights, outside of Kaka, and that's the reason why it's a problem. Kaka can't be up front, can't be the one who's leading fights off or counter-initiating. He's just going to die so quick. And yeah, like right now, yep, he's going to come in. There's the split. That's probably the best thing they can do is just decide to lead off with him and then go. There's a swap on the LPC. Kabu's going to continue to run. Jakiro uses himself, and he's got a mech. There's the Doom. Very good patience from Ran. They're still having a hard time really cleaning this up. Everyone running back. Here comes that SMJ, though, and he's on to the Tide. And, oh, he actually wasn't caught by that stun. There's going to be a shackle that doesn't hit. In the meantime, wow, Kian goes in and gets a kill. It's 2 for 1 right now. The fact that they got anything is fairly impressive. He came in with a haste in the back of the fight, and they're trying to pursue him now. Doesn't look like they're going to catch him, though. Early blink on the Doom. Love this. And, wow, that's bold. But he knows they can't do anything about it.
Well, I think Doom should actually have 1 value point level death for that exact reason. Yeah. That's a definite kill if he did. He actually blinked way forward, though, so maybe he doesn't get it. But Kabu definitely needed a bit longer. I was watching what you were watching, I think, where the leap came in and actually, it wasn't even the Dark Pact. I think he just disjointed it with the leap or something. Maybe it was Dark Pact, so. But yeah, he needed to definitely wait till the full duration of the Dark Pact was off, and he definitely saves Tidehunter and turns that too, because the mech was going to come out right after the Doom. So unfortunate play there. Could have turned it around, but I still think that TongFu's in good position. They still need to use this Ravage. Of course, they used it once and it was phenomenal. They're smoked up and they're ready to use it now.
Ken leading the way. That's a dead Crystal Maiden. And maybe not. Looks like they didn't even notice her. Instead, they're going to prioritize the Doom, understandably so. Ran, chain stunned, and brought down. Brewmaster still has 45 seconds on his ulti. And this is 45 seconds they can run hard. Jinkyu is pushing in top. And has completed his 4th staff. And you know what I really would like here out of him, perhaps, with that 4th staff? How about an Orchid? You go 4th staff Orchid. That's one more way to silence the Brewmaster for a bit. You can use her, like if you want to hold on to Tide for a bit and wait for the fight to kind of clump, you can let her 4th staff in while the Jakiro uses the target or just waits for the Brewmaster. I would really dig that on her.
Yeah, it would be good. I really like Blink on Wind Ranger, and for that same reason, Blink even Yules would be good, but because, Blink and Orchids would be good, but as you mentioned, because he does have the 4 staff, it would make sense, but we'll see. We'll see what he wants to get.
And they're just going to go high ground, man. They feel confident right now. They know Bruce, the ult is still on cooldown. No, actually, just finished off. Just came off cooldown. And just look how quickly they're wearing this tier 3 out. Like, they're trading away a tier 1, but I don't think they're going to have any problem taking half life on a tier 3 in exchange for a tier 1. In fact, yeah, they're going to save the tier 1 and get the deny even. If they kill this, yep, got to get it now. It's close, but did secure. They're going to come back out. There's the Yules onto the Doom. Ice Path underneath him. They're going to try to follow this up. Is there going to be a shackle? There is. It didn't actually catch anyone behind it, though. Doom on the U9 in the meantime, and this fight is spread out. We've got U9 on the run behind that. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. They do manage to track down Kaka amidst all of it. ZSMJ doing some work. This is a swap from Kabu, who's going to earn himself up, but they're right on him. That's going to be 3 for 2. Down comes Kian, but Xin-Q is there as well. Has a shackle if they want to try to re-engage. I don't think they do. 19 minutes in, it's 12-9. Relatively busy game, all things considered. Taking a look at the change in Golden XP. Big win for HGT. They needed that.
Big win. It's again, this Doom is just being very good about his Doom usage on the right hero, which needs to be Tidehunter every time. And he's just trying to get away, but didn't get enough to help that time. And maybe needs to keep his positioning back a little bit further. He actually had Blink on the way on the Courier. He just bought his Blink. And so I imagine it'll be a little bit easier to initiate before getting the Doom off onto him. But he's getting a little bit careless here. And HGT is bouncing back nicely. That is a sub 20-minute Battle Fury, though.
Pretty hot, taking a lot of damage. Here comes... Wow, LPC hung around way too long. That was just optimistic on him. I mean, that's just a tough place to do that, because you have to figure he's got reinforcements somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's going to be actually a Rod of Atos onto the Windrunner instead. I'm not a fan of this pickup. I don't think the slow is going to do anything that the rest of your team can't. I think they already have many, many ways to kind of slow or stun people. So I would have preferred to see something like you mentioned, Orchids or a Blink, but all right, guess that makes him a little bit more tanky. Doesn't really help with his damage, but yeah, I'm not a fan of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a pro player and never would be in 1,000 years, so I try to be loath on criticizing pickups. I'm like you, though. I don't see the point. The big issue they're facing is silencing out...
Oh, Lord.
That's not the way you want to Ravage. That was... Okay. That's just a mistake. Easy peasy. Didn't cost him anything. At least he didn't blow a Ravage in a team fight and lose 3 heroes over it. But yeah.
I mean, he could have blinked onto him and Ravaged.
Okay, let's say for sake of argument, Xin-Q was there. Let's say for sake of argument, Xin-Q had gone Orchid instead, right? 4 staff, you Orchid the Slark. You jump out, you gush him, you do what damage you can. As the Orchid's wearing off, you Ravage to secure the kill. Well, like, that's a much easier thing to accomplish.
That's why I like Blink, because even if he just runs up in Orchids, you can still blink away, and that's what Slark did. He actually blinked away to disengage. So you have to do something that's blink in and instant damage, or blink in instant shackle. But if you blink on top of the hero and ulti with Ravage, it's almost impossible to actually get away.
Split. Good silence on the Xin-Q. Does get forced out to the high ground. There's a Yules on to Kaka in the meantime. Bruce focusing on Kabu. U9 wishes he had that Ravage right now. Will use the mech to try to keep his team alive. Did see a Skywrath ulti that honestly looked like it whipped. Ken, doomed and brought down. And they're going to come back together. Yeah, U9 without that Ravage. Nice ult from Kaka. Will be stopped by the Ice Path. Kian did buy back, and now he wants to get some payback. And I don't think they're going to find anyone. Oh, Pretty Haw made it away with about 50 HP. Air being pursued. And now he will be stopped. There's the Atos coming into play, so making us eat our words. There's a purpose. And they do manage to get him one way or the other. Unfortunately, it cost them a buyback on their Ember. And cost them their Tidehunter as well.
I mean, he's getting that kill 100% without Atos, but yeah.
I'm trying to be nice, man. I'm trying not to be LOL those casters, you know?
Yeah. But sometimes things need to be said. What does need to be said is, can you imagine how much better that fight would have gone if he had Ravage?
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Anyway, they're pushing here. They know Bruce splits down. Ravage is actually cooling down in 27 seconds, so maybe this is their time to finally actually take a winning fight.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Kabu just spent his magic missile for free.
Alright.
Ran. Caught with some damage. ZSMJ jumps in. There's the tier 3 gun. Now they're going to start to wear on these racks. And they're going to be happy to do this till Brew's ready to fight. They've got 30 seconds to do as much damage as they can to this range racks. And there's a Yules, actually. Ice Path will go down. That got 3! Macro Pyre, and now they want to follow it up. There was a swap from Kabu. Shackle caught the Brew. There's that Ravage. BKB was already activated by ZSMJ in the meantime, and he's going to catch Kabu with the pounce. He has to run now, though. The route is on, and they're chasing them down. Kaka's down. That's 3. Pulled down by HGT. U9's ulti came off cooldown just a bit earlier, and that worked out immensely better than they could have hoped. That ice path just walked into by 3 heroes, essentially. And now they clear off 1 set of racks, and they're going to go to work on another tier 3. That is a whole set of racks down to 23 minutes. This is a tremendous loss for them. And they're probably going to get this tier 3 and then bail.
I would actually just run now. They don't need to get this tower. Yeah. It would be very, very risky for them. Really, really nice ice path there. I don't even know if he intended to get the hero that blinked in. In fact,
no, he definitely didn't.
And it was actually really close. The Tide actually mech'd a little bit late. He would have saved the Vengeful Spirit, but he actually missed the mech and got it after he died. And nice, timely BKB pickup from ZSJ, because he definitely would have died if he didn't pop that BKB in the midst of all that. So, but as you said, devastating structural damage here up in the top lane.
And that's got to be, that is so discouraging for HGT. They had cut the lead down from nearly 7,500 gold to damn near even. And now it's spiking back up in favor of TongFu. And make no mistake, and yeah, actually they had taken the lead in XP as well. Make no mistake, they're still in this game. It's just going to be a much harder road now. It's on TongFu to keep the pressure up, though. I think, you know, the Ember buying back's not the end of the world because it wasn't like a 40, 50-minute buyback where it's actually relatively expensive. But still, he needs to make up some ground, and they need to make sure they don't give HGT too much space, because I don't. If ZSMJ finishes a Scotty, which is what it looks like he's going for now, he is going to be brutal with that BKB for sure.
Oh, did he buy like an ulti orb or something?
He bought a point booster.
Oh, I don't see it on the courier.
No, he's on him.
Oh, ZSMJ. Oh, yeah. I'm stupid. I thought you, for some reason, I thought we were thinking the Ember Spirit.
No.
Yeah, Scotty. Yep. I mean, that would be good. As long as they fight and make sure they don't get like doomed on the Tide, and they just split well away from the ulti from the Brewmaster, I think the TongFu will be fine. They got pretty careless there in the early to mid game, but I mean, obviously with their racks down, they're in a much better position. Roshan could definitely help that too, and there is an ulti orb also on the Wind Ranger, so maybe Sheep is the obvious. Yeah, Sheep is the obvious choice. I wouldn't be surprised though if it's Lincoln's too, just to keep some, like he can use it also on the Tide just to make sure the Doom doesn't come out onto him.
I think I would have liked the Hex before the Atos.
Oh yeah, 100% would like anything over Atos, but
like you said, it tanks him up. Maybe that's not whatever. It's working out is what matters. And HGT doesn't seem to have the answer. And they're farming. Yep. Oh, there's a Yules. Nice path. And they're going to fire off a little bit of spam damage. But they should be doing Roshan right now. Like, I would like this a lot more with these two just, you know, just rattling their sabers in the shadow of that tier 3 if they were getting a Roshan done. They have gone in with U9 and Kabu now, but they need to get Kian in there and get it working while these two were running interference. And we could have a fight, as we've got a mass TP in now. And they have to suspect this is going down. They just saw Kian run towards the Roche pit as they have a ward there. They saw them cross the jungle quite some time ago. And yeah, they're coming as a team and they're smoked. This is going to be potentially a game-determining fight. They're not going to get there in time. Roche is going to drop. Now they got to decide, do you go in now or do you wait? I think this is the right call. They're not going to commit.
Yeah, you definitely don't go in. Or maybe they want to catch him off guard. I don't know if this is going to end well unless they doom the Tide, which they did.
Got him. BKBs are up. In the meantime, they're trying to reset. There's going to be BKBs activated across the board. Bruce Split's going to be there as well. LPC, the one who's caught out by himself. ZSMJ is actually backing off right now. Behind that, we can see Kian still doing work and didn't take much damage at all. These Mystic Flares are doing nothing through Flame Guard except burning them. In the meantime, we do see another kill. The Tide does end up dropping. ZSMJ could have gotten another one perhaps on the Wind Ranger, but a fortuitous Invis rune will keep her alive. So they end up going 2 for 1. But the Ravage is still up. And see, I feel like this has happened like 3 times now. They took an okay fight. Problem is, Tide's going to be back up in 30 seconds. Brewmaster Split's not going to be up for 50 seconds after that. They still have an Aegis. And yeah, everyone's going to be back up. They're going to have Ravage. Oh, no, he didn't. No. I didn't see that he had Ravaged.
Yeah, he kind of wasted there at the end. I'm with you. He thought that he could get a counter kill just because the Doom was finally actually wearing off. It was the first time the Doom wore off before he died. So he thought he could maybe do something, but the Dark Pack happened right after it. So there was basically no stun duration on ZSMJ. But yeah, if he holds the ulti right there, he just respawns, they just march down mid, they don't have a care in the world. So kind of unfortunate in that sense. Although the Doom cooldown is very low, it's only 100 seconds.
Yeah, to be back up now, like, I don't know. I feel like they need to be the ones trying to take the advantage here. Just tell Tide if you see 2 targets go. There's going to be a Yules on the Jakiro to get him out of some trouble as he get hit with the pounds. But here comes Kian. Gets a little bit of damage done to Kaka. He's going to throw a Remnant up. And now focus fire on this tier 3. That's going to prompt the glyph. Q happy to do this work on his own while the tankies are up front. And here we go. There's going to be another Doom on a U9. He does get the mech off. There's an ice path that caught it. No, it didn't catch anyone as the BKBs were activated. There's going to be a Mystic Flare. This one manages to pop Kian's Aegis, and they lose their Vengeful Spirit as well. LPC still alive because of that Yules. He's going to go back in, gets a 2-man Searing Chains. Behind that, though, ZSMJ wants to try to chase them down. It looks like he wants to focus LPC. Jin-Q actually got a kill with a power shot there, and a buyback from the Crystal Maiden immediately. ZSMJ not caught by the shackle, but Jin-Q now isolated by the Brewmaster split. Trying to make a run for it, needs a long time on his Force Staff. Looks like they're just going to turn back around and try to pursue the Ember Spirit. Gets off a couple of Searing Chains, and there's the Storm aspect catching him. Almost said Yules. Ulti from Kaka, nothing more than a celebration, but this is a big 4-man wipe and a big missed opportunity from TongFu.
Yeah, this Doom is just destroying the chances of TongFu to close out this game. And if I'm Doom, I will probably maybe get an Aghanims. This seems to be the way of what the Chinese teams want to do. But honestly, if you could afford a refresher, they could easily come back in this game. ZSMJ is doing a ton of damage right now, and this is without a completed Scotty, which he's going to have here relatively soon. So yeah, I just, as long as they keep dooming this Tide, and he's doing it every single time, they can actually fight these fights. But one fight, honestly, where the Tide doesn't get doomed, and he starts, you know, being the initiator and start being the one that actually goes in first, I think TongFu will still be in a good position, but HGT's doing it. They're creeping back into this game.
I don't really understand their decision making there. They had Jin, which makes sense because he has the Aegis. But then they had the Jakiro, which I don't mind that much there, and the Tide was just milling around anchor smashing creeps. This is not where that Tide needs to be when this guy that's walking over my little drawing is going to be able to blink from right here and doom him. Why was the Tide not back here and just waiting for them to engage?
I don't know. He's been up. I mean, the way that the Chinese build Doom, like we always see, is the mech first. So you can kind of be tanky, absorb a lot of spells. You can never really get stunned because of Kraken. And then if you take too much damage, you just mech. But it's a completely different ball game against heroes, like I said. Like Doom is like the best one. Legion Commander and Clockwork's okay, but it's definitely not as good as the Doom. So you have to play a lot differently than the Chinese, I think, are normally used to playing the Tide in this manner.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, so it's not as if, you know, we're shortchanging these players' abilities or whatever. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense. You've lost a bunch of fights now, where the reason you lose is your Tide gets doomed, and you know that their number one that this Doom is not going to use Doom on any other hero so long as Tidehunter's alive and unaccounted. Like, it's just not going to happen. He will sit in the back or in the middle and wait until he sees the Tide. Period. And I just don't understand why the Tide has been in the front of these engagements up to this point. It's really hurt them. Kian is okay farmed. In fact, he's pretty well farmed. He's number 2 in net worth. Problem is, ZSMJ, as you mentioned, is getting very lethal. He's got 3,400 gold, and he's going to have his Scotty before long at all. TongFu's going to smoke and try to take another run at mid. The tier 3 is absent. And if they could just get a good Ravage, I feel like they can take a fight. I mean, the BKBs on HGT are causing some problems, in particular on the Doom and the on ZSMJ. There's not a BKB on air, actually. He's working on one. So let's see. Where are they going to put him? Yeah, this is where you belong, U9. Good call, buddy.
I think as long as Ember... Oh, yep. Here we go.
Jakiro's perfect to have up front for that exact reason. Can just Yules himself, and if the rest of the team tries to follow, you've got an answer. And they can just slow push this. Just let Ken spam out waves using Sleight of Fist, put the Jakiro up front because he can Yules himself, and slowly but surely whittle them down. They've already got 1 Rax down. Now time to go to work on the melee. Yeah, they can just do this indefinitely. ZSMJ comes out. There's the Yules. He'll come back down, and they don't want to commit. But look at the look. Just from that one little liquid fire, the Rax lost health. It is regenning.
And a Searing Chains plus Sleight of Fist combo with just a power shot actually puts pretty hot at that HP right there.
ZSMJ, wow, little optimistic from Jin-Q. There's going to be an ice pad that catches them, and they're going to have to come out and engage, and they know it. And he still got doomed. Rand finds the Tide at the back of the fight again. ZSMJ's in some pretty rough shape. Ice Path thrown, and here we go. Kian following it up. The Bruce split was real, though. LPC did get swapped out, but it's irrelevant as they lose him anyway. There's the shackle, doesn't latch. Kian going to be coming back down to a hostile LZ. Does what damage he can, but gets silenced. There's going to be a Mystic Flare finally, though. U9 gets off a Ravage, but it only got ZSMJ, and he buys back. He's ready to fight. Kaka trying to make a run for the high ground. Here comes Slark. Slark engaging on the U9. Shackle doesn't latch to anything. There's going to be an ulti coming out from Kaka, but it's avoided by pretty much everyone. Now Rand comes back out. 60 seconds on Doom, and I don't think they're going to break off the siege, nor do they need to. Bruce split is down. They already got one set of racks. They should be able to make it two. There's going to be a pounce from ZSMJ and a clap from Air as well. Shin-Q a little bit low, and they're trying to follow up. Will they get him with a Magic Missile Power Shard? And yes, U9 chops him down. ZSMJ wants to run back in. Doesn't really dark pact anything, realizes it's a bad situation, extricates himself, and now the pipe's in play for U9. Kaka caught by the Searing Chains, but ZSMJ re-engaging. Ember has to bounce on out. ZSMJ uses his ultis. It's already off cooldown again. Back onto the tail of U9, has him leashed with the pounce, and they should end up losing him. There's a swap, though. Kabu trying to turn it around, got the stun, and ZSMJ has to use his BKB one more time. Shin-Q giving chase, will auto attacks be enough? He needs one more. One more, no, Rand's there. Turns it around, and they do bring him down. Shackle did catch ZSMJ, but he dark pacted it. Behind the fight, LPC back up and going. Was trying to get something done, and now being pursued out. He will force staff up to the high ground. Rand, in the meantime, finds himself another kill. He had BKB'd and pursued out, looks like Kabu. And finally, this fight is going to reach a conclusion after an immense amount of back and forth on both sides. Cost some buybacks on the side of HGT, but they're still down a racks nonetheless.
But they really won that fight, actually, because that other Rax that died happened way before the team fight even erupted. You remember? He was just like, just hitting it with the liquid fire and then backing off. So that was, again, another successful defense by HGT. Kind of sloppy spell usage just in general from TongFu. Like, not able to cast the spells on targets that they wanted to, just couldn't get in range sometimes, and got a little antsy certain times. So very, very well fought by HGT. And, yeah, we'll hopefully see a cleaner exchange here from TongFu. Ravage, as you mentioned, I think it didn't catch very many. He came back, they did a very good job of kiting the heroes. Yeah, just the Slark? Okay. So hopefully he can connect a little bit better next time.
It was a valuable one in at least one sense. Slark died because of it, and ZSMJ had to buy back. So that's going to delay his Scotty timing. Shiva's up on the Doom, showed off, and no way to stop him. Not without a basher. And he may end up getting one of those at some point.
He actually level deathed him, though. It hit him. He still got the TP out.
Oh, wow.
That was crazy. I would be mad. Like, it cast. It should have stunned him, but...
We're at 36 minutes. 45, excuse me, collective kills. Roche is going to be coming back up in a minute, and Kabu in anticipation of that. Bringing down the vision. Everything's going to be up for everyone. I mean, hell, a lot of those ultimates came off cooldown twice in that fight. It lasted multiple minutes. And he's going to spawn right in front of Kabu. Yeah. What the hell?
Wow.
Oh, big man.
They're like, don't mind if I do. I will take Roshan.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Roshan, I do want to hang out. And there's no response right now at all from HGT. None at all. They're too busy worrying about their base. They've got Mega streaming in from the top lane. Mid lane is perpetually pushed, and that's not helped at all by LPC, who will be caught by ZSMJ. Yules is himself. He's going to have a force staff. Will use it. Trying to make it to the high ground. Ward's there. Not that it matters. Ice Path catches 3 and a Macro Fire. He is running good interference at the very least, and they get the Jakiro, but it does cost them an Aegis onto Ken.
That is definitely the space created wheel. Chat wheel right there. Nice space creation by the Jakiro. There's finally the Scotty from the Slark. He could have had it a long time ago, wanted to save for buyback, but then he did buyback, and now he does not have buyback available, so he's like, yeah, I just need to buy something. And we'll see if this can really change the fight. I mean, they have been kind of winning this, but against the Ember Spirit, who now has Daedalus and an Aegis, it's much more difficult. Same point still stands. U9 needs to not get doomed. But the Doom has been doing I would say it's more to the credit of the Doom player than U9 being in a bad position.
I don't know. He's been in a bad position, I think.
Has he?
Well, I mean, it's just like like this fight started, and you know the first couple of times we saw it was because he was up front, and the same thing happened in a few different places. He just had no business being up front. This time the Slark came out, and U9 just kind of hung here, even though the fight pushed out to right here, and then he just blunk. Is that a word? He blinked from right about there to there and doomed him again. I mean, he should just be playing like especially in nighttime, like just out of vision of his teammates. Like it's not going to take long for him to take 3 steps forward, blink max distance, and ravage 3 heroes. I don't like his positioning at all.
He blunked.
He
done blunked.
That blunk dagger? Sounds like we're from Louisiana. Blunk dagger.
That's where I'm from, actually.
Are you really?
I was born in New Orleans.
I want to go to New Orleans so bad. We had this conversation in L.A., I think.
We were probably inebriated.
I'm pretty sure. And so, yeah, whenever it's things like that, I remember talking like deep stuff with you about Louisiana, and now I can't remember a damn bit of it. And that usually means it was off hours, and we had found a nice, cozy bar.
Yep.
TongFu still, trying to bottle him up. And doing a decent job of it. If you're HGT, what's the plan moving forward?
Keep dooming the Tide. And, I mean, again, it's very difficult now that the Ember Spirit has the Aegis, but, doom the Tide, make sure... I would actually try to focus the THD as well. This Ice Path is doing a lot in these team fights. And try to drag out the team fight as much as you can. Again, I would... The best thing to do is wait out the Aegis, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that, so... It's very difficult. They're in a rough spot now.
And here's ZSMJ going on the Jakiro. Kian's going to be there. He's trying to bait them into a fight. They are going to go high ground off of this. There's 2 coming in. There's going to be U9, and he does get a Ravage. That time he got ran with it. At least breaking the fight in half. That's doing a great job. Only got a few with that pipe. Doesn't matter as the Ice Path is on the mark and it catches 2. Now they want to charge back out using that Brew Split. Brew Split's not accomplishing a lot, but more importantly, ZSMJ died amidst all of it. Magic Missile catches Rand, and he's down without using Doom. Much better that time from U9. There's a do-si-do, not even a swap. Just a do-si-do, and they call it. GG. By far, the best fight TongFu had all game, and no surprise, it's because the Tide finally lived up to the title of Initiator, and he didn't even get that many. That's not the point. The point is he caught 2 on the side, but it was the 2 he needed. The 1 he needed in particular being the Doom, and the rest of the team cleaned up from there. Well played. Game 1 goes the way of TongFu.
Yep, really nicely done. Proving that the Wind Ranger pick, even with the Rod of Atos, was actually very effective. If not just for good shackle shots and really strong lane presence, like Wind Ranger brings that to the table. Just a very strong lane. But also the Wind Run itself is very effective against Slark. We saw that a number of times. The Pounce came out, then you just pop the Wind Run, and then he couldn't really do anything. And obviously with the Slark not having the greatest early game, couldn't like farm up MKB or anything like that. So well played by TongFu. A little shaky in the mid game, but able to close out nicely.
So I'm looking over right now, Trout, at the info from our research department. Dozens of minds working around the clock. Yeah, it's actually our awesome admin who figured this out. We have a list of scenarios that I'm going to tweet out afterwards so people can see, but I'm going to read them now. And this is the scenario of what happens tonight. Our playoffs, again, start very soon. If LGD and HGT win tonight, our playoffs will have LV at the top, and LV's always going to be in second position no matter what. So our playoffs, though, will be LV, LGD, HGT, and IG. If LGD and TongFu win, it's LGD, TongFu, and IG. So TongFu has a way in right now, despite how bad they've looked. That they have to get a win, though, and they need LGD to win as well. That is there are 2 ways, actually. So long as they win, let's see, it's going to be LGD versus Lie Gaming. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm reading this right. Lie and HGT, if they win, it's Lie, HGT, and LGD. And I'm trying to see. There's actually a couple of scenarios. Okay, so IG has to have LGD win. If LGD doesn't win tonight, they're out. They're actually on the outside looking in. They don't make the playoffs at all.
IG doesn't? Or
No. Yeah, IG will miss our playoffs if LGD loses tonight. So their fate's out of their hands.
And they're playing LV, correct?
It's going to be Live versus it's going to be Live versus LGD, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was... I mix up Live and LV sometimes.
Yep.
Huh, okay.
But TongFu has 2 ways in. If they win, they're in. Because the scenarios, say LGD and TongFu goes in. Okay, yeah, no matter what, if TongFu wins this series, they're in our playoffs, period. There's no questions about it. If they win and LGD win, they go in 4th position. If TongFu and Lai win, then TongFu goes in 5th position. But win and they're in. That's their situation right now.
This stuff's all too confusing to me. That's why I just leave it to everyone else. The players are probably like, just win games. Just win games. But I think if TongFu can win, I all the credit to them because, yeah, they looked not too good coming into the tournament, but damn, they look really good. And like, not this series, but the last 2 we've seen as well. So
I completely agree with you. I think they're looking better now than they have throughout the entire duration of the tournament to this point. And I want to see if they can close it out because they're a feel-good story to me. Like they had struggled so much, but they battled and battled and battled, and now find themselves in a position where if they win, they're going to be in our bubble race, and I think that's encouraging. So we're going to be jumping right into that game 2 of HGT versus TongFu. If TongFu wins, they are in. End of discussion. And actually, I'm going to look real quick. HGT. If HGT wins, they are... Yeah, if HGT wins, they're in. So this is basically an elimination match. I'm pretty sure, yeah, whoever wins this is in pretty much, yeah, no matter what. So that kind of puts a different spin on it just a little bit, huh? HGT and TongFu battling it out for a spot in our playoffs. Win and you're in, lose and you're done. We'll find out if HGT can give us a game 3 or if this is going to be all TongFu on their way into the bubble race. We'll be right back. Stick with us.